We've got shenanigans. We've got more shenanigans involving the mayor of Seattle. Mayor of Seattle, under a little FBI investigation. Dan Bongino says, we're going to take a look into the stuff going on in Seattle, the hate of Christians. And on top of that, this story came out from Post Millennial. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell arrested in 1996 for pulling a gun on a pregnant woman during a parking spot dispute. And he resisted arrest. Now, charges were dropped, but this goes to character, doesn't it? What does this say about Bruce Harrell's character? Let's get into it. Here we go. Newly uncovered records surfaced earlier this year on the long-forgotten 1996 arrest of Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell involving weapons and assault charges. Oh, that's not good. During a late-night altercation. It's like 12:30 at night. Bruce, what are you doing? Out doing some gambling? Got a gun on you? Outside a casino in Iowa. While the case was dismissed months later, details of the incident are drawing renewed scrutiny amid Harrell's demonization of local Christians and support for Antifa. The way Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell has handled Christians having a peaceful, basically a worship service, and trying to blame them for Antifa attacking them, and then playing the race card, saying he's being attacked because he's Seattle's, biracial or whatever, black mayor or whatever it is you want to go with. Yeah, we've got shenanigans here. As first reported by KUOW on the night of September 27th, 1996, then Omaha resident Bruce Harrell, a young attorney recently appointed to a controversial housing authority board, more controversy, was involved in a parking dispute outside the Ameristar Casino in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Harrell and Rose Sanchez, one of the individuals involved, agree on several basic facts. Both parties arrived around the same time and disputed a parking spot. All right, okay, all right. Where the accounts diverge is what happened next. We're gonna give equal play to both sides here, because this is news for reasonable people, not news for unreasonable people who are basically support fascists. We're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. And when I say fascists, I mean Antifa. Yeah, because they are the ultimate version of fascists. Rose Sanchez recalls Harrell in a red Jeep Cherokee slowly driving past her husband Jose, and her mother, pointing a gun at them after confronting them over the parking spot. We felt threatened, she said. All we did was pull into a parking spot. Okay, so when I hear that, I'm like, also, okay, so maybe Bruce just did this number, didn't point it at them, but went like this, like this on the window. Hey, I got a gun. Give me that fucking spot. But still, you can't do that. You can't pull out a gun just because. That's a huge no-no. Huge no-no. And look at Sean Kemp. He just pled guilty because he's firing a gun in the parking lot down in Tacoma. Granted, somebody has stolen his phone, ripped him off. But you can't just grab a gun and start shooting. Harrell acknowledges displaying a firearm. Okay, all right. This goes to character. You displayed a firearm, and unfortunately, one of the people in the car was about a month away from giving life. Yeah, that's problematic. But he denies pointing at anyone. Okay, all right, but still, hey, even if you didn't, you pulled a gun out. In contemporary media interviews and statements to the outlet, he claimed the Sanchez's may have mistaken his watch or phone for a gun. Okay, but then why'd you resist arrest? I mean, At the time, Harrell told reporters he'd been carrying the weapon for protection, but you didn't have a concealed weapon permit. Okay. More questions. Carrying the weapon for protection due to death threats he had received following his housing board nomination. Okay. All right. Well, if you say so. It was not common for people to carry portable phones in 96. because we didn't really have them. I mean, the technology was there, but it was rare, right? And they were super expensive. Per second is what they charged you back then. Casino security was alerted and law enforcement responded shortly after 12:30 a.m. That is late. What are we doing? Harrell initially downplayed the situation, but a subsequent search of his vehicle revealed an unloaded 25 caliber Raven semi-automatic pistol and a clip with 4 bullets. When the officer attempted to cuff him for safety during the search, Harrell reportedly resisted. So, you're getting into a beef at a casino with some other people in a car, you whip out a gun, then you take all the shells out, and then when the officer tries to cuff you during the search, you resist. All right, but now we're mayor of Seattle and hating on Christians. Okay, yeah, it's not shocking, is it? No. Harrell was arrested and booked into the Pawatami County Jail on 3 charges: aggravated assault, interference with official acts, and carrying a concealed weapon without a permit. Not good. Goes to character. Each an aggravated misdemeanor carrying a possible 2-year jail sentence and thousands in fines. 10 hours after his arrest, Harrell withdrew his name from consideration for the housing authority post. Oh, interesting. Okay. Too much heat. And maybe this little decision here in the parking garage was not going in the right direction. At the time, Omaha Mayor Hal Dobbs, chief of staff, attributed the decision to the incident. Okay. Charges were dismissed 6 months later in what county prosecutor Rick Crowell described as an unofficial deferred prosecution. Oh, okay. Let him go on the down low. According to Crowell, Harrell was required to apologize to the arresting officers. Oh, okay. Apology because you did something wrong. You were apologizing for actions that were not becoming, that were illegal. Goes to character. Crowell also cited Harrell's claim that he felt threatened by a Hispanic group as a reason for his decision to drop the case. All right. So you got a he said, she said, right? But the optics are horrible. And I talk about that a lot. Even if Bruce Harrell is totally innocent of all this stuff, it's not a good look, especially when you say things about Christian groups in public parks with a permit that simply aren't true. You're trying to cover up for Antifa having 23 members arrested for incredible violence towards churchgoers and police, and you're covering up for them. Not a good look. Optics are horrific. A letter written by Crowell in 2024 described Harrell's display of the weapon as non-threatening and the incident as minor. That's how you downplay something. Sean Kemp was just, he was cranking some rounds off to get a little target practice at a car with dudes in it that had crazy criminal histories and had allegedly shot at him. There's always explanations for stuff, isn't there? It's whether you believe them. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because this one was so long ago, but it goes to character and the optics being just, No formal lawsuit emerged from the event, though Harrell reportedly retained legal counsel and claimed his constitutional rights had been violated due to racial profiling. Okay. I mean, we're playing the race card again here, but whatever. The matter, according to Harrell's office, was resolved without financial settlement. Nearly 3 decades since the incident, Harrell's account has shifted. Goes to character again. Got a moving goalpost here on the details. 96, he told police that only one man was involved. Uno. Today, he describes being approached by multiple men. Okay. Which one is it? We don't know because we've got differing versions. He now also asserts that the dispute was amicably resolved before anyone entered the casino, something the Sanchez's deny. He said, she said. Who are you going to believe? Well, we don't care about the Sanchez's anymore. They're not mayor of anything. In fact, I think the Sanchez woman we're talking about here, the article goes on to say she lives in a mobile home somewhere and she's living her best life retired, right? But Bruce is, facing possibly a little FBI little probing action. Although the FBI says, yeah, we haven't heard anything more than just the tweet from Dan Bongino. All right, you got a bunch of stuff going around. I don't know why I would have approached him, said Rose Sanchez, who was 8 months pregnant at the time. Okay, what is an 8-month pregnant woman doing at the casino? I'm just asking for a friend here, because this is news for reasonable people. I don't know about you, but when my wife was pregnant, we were not out at the casino at 12:30 at night. I'm just saying, that wasn't a thing. You want to watch your 8-month pregnant wife waddle around the casino? No, you want to be at home where she can maybe sleep for a little bit on one side before she has to shift to the other side because she's so damn uncomfortable. Maybe Miss Sanchez is a big gambler and that took her mind off the pregnancy. I don't know. We don't know who he was. All we knew was that he had a gun pointed at us. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe he had a gun pointed at him. Maybe he just, flashed it out and wasn't directly. It was more just, outside window. Hey, got a gun here. Give me your effing parking spot. I mean, any which way, again, optics, not good. Casino employee and a police officer backed up the Sanchez's account at the time. The casino staffer, speaking anonymously to KUOW, said they saw Harrell holding a handgun in his Jeep. Wow, a lot going on here. The arrest was not publicly disclosed during Harrell's political ascent. Well, you're not gonna. And it's also, this is so long ago, but given other stuff coming up, like Bruce hates God and Christians and loves the LGBT community, even though they get hijacked by Antifa, which is probably one of the most fascist groups out there who proclaim that they're anti-fascist. But if you say anything that doesn't correlate with their very, very minor worldview, they will jump down your throat and literally assault you. And that's why 31 of them have been arrested in the last week here in Seattle. Harrell responded to the newly resurfaced reports with a statement to local media. Nearly 30 years ago, I was approached by multiple people in a parking lot, not knowing their intentions and fearing for my life. I referenced being in possession of a handgun, which was unloaded, and showed it to them. Bruce, it wasn't unloaded. It was loaded. You unloaded it before the cops came. He added that the incident, which he claims stemmed from racial profiling, because why are you going to run around with an unloaded gun? You've had death threats. You need that bad boy to go. Be reasonable. Help shape his commitment to police accountability. Oh, here's how we tie it in. He cited it as one reason for his efforts to implement Seattle's bias-free policing law and other racial equity initiatives like Ban the Box. Now, one thing I would say, I have been a big supporter of Bruce Harrell and his decisions and the way that he has led Seattle as far as clearing out the homelessness and policing. And one of the things was watching the way that the police were basically able to do their job when Antifa was involved. But Bruce has got to be able to walk both of those sides, policing, public safety, and support for the LGBTQ plus community, because it's such a powerful voice here in Seattle. But what I would say there is there's such a small percentage of the constituency in Seattle, LGBTQ plus, as far as that goes. So if you're going to go down that road, okay, but that only works in Seattle. The rest of the world is looking in going, Seattle mayor hates God, hates Christians, hates the church, loves the gays, loves the queers. We don't believe in that. And we want to do the opposite of what Seattle is doing. And most of the rest of the country did just that in the last election, didn't they? Weird. Harrell spokesperson Jamie Housen echoed this sentiment, stating that the incident introduced Harrell to the hostilities often faced by public servants and biracial individuals. If you're in the public eye, you're going to have scrutiny, and that's what this is. This is scrutiny for something 30 years ago. All right, but it goes to character. So, hey, you pulled a gun and it happened to be on a pregnant woman. And that's like George Floyd style, isn't it? Fentanyl Floyd. Yeah, he pulled a gun on a pregnant woman, pointed it at her belly, and he was a felon. Yeah, felon Fetty addict. It scared us, said Rose Sanchez, now a grandmother living in a mobile home in Iowa. We were like, what the hell is going on? Well, future mayor of Seattle is pulling a gun on you. All right, let's read this one. Seattle mayor defends response to rally at park, brushes off FBI investigation threat. Let's hear Chris Daniels. This is a pretty good little clip here. Let's take a peeky peek at this. Here we go.
Marion Preston, the FBI.
Gosh darn it. Yeah, there we go.
Today that it has no further comment about an investigation that was alluded to in a tweet by the FBI's deputy director yesterday.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell is declining to do any sort of on-camera interview. He and other council members are now doubling down, backing their comments that they believe that a religious rally that was permitted on Cal Anderson Park was a mistake.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but it was a mistake on the part of Seattle Parks and Rec to issue that permit for Cal Anderson Park. It's like literally sending the Christians into the den of lions and going, good Lord, the Christians forced the lions to eat them. I can't believe that. I don't believe that. Now, if by saying that the Christians, the God-fearing Christians who their hashtag is don't mess with the kids, those people, if in this clip you can find their instigation of violence, you tell me. Watch this clip right here.
Removed from a rally that sparked.
They're holding a rally. Now, this is violence. This is Antifa. This is the Democratic Party. These are Democrats. This is the far left, Antifa. All you middle-of-the-road Democrats, this is your people. These are your people. Not a good look. Again, optics are everything. This is horrific. You got Antifa, Trantifa, going after Christians, and then Mayor Bruce Harrell supporting Trantifa and the LGBTQ community who are kind of caught in the middle of this. But yeah, look at some of this violence. This is actual violence here committed by the far left.
Religious and First Amendment rights, a new wrinkle. The FBI's Deputy Director Dan Bongino suggesting on social media his team is investigating targeted violence against religious groups in Seattle.
They're well within their right to investigate. We uphold the First Amendment speech of folks, and I think we put our officers in a very, very tough position.
Seattle Council Parks Committee Chair Joy Hollingsworth said the city needs to perform better on the permitting process, noting Mayday USA's request to rally at Cal Anderson Park on Saturday might have snuck through as it came from a little-known ministry in rural Oregon that the mayor later labeled as right-wing.
This is not.
Freedom of speech is protected. Whether they're right-wing, left-wing, doesn't matter. Everybody can use Seattle's parks. That's how this works. Because if you want to say, and I get it, Cal Anderson being the first openly gay legislator, I believe, in Seattle. All right. And I get that. And Capitol Hill is probably one of the gayest, queer-friendly, LGBTQ plus friendly communities in North America. It just is. Always has been, always will be. But you issued a permit. This was a permitted event. You knew what was going on. And you know what? Where's the far right-wing park then? Where's the far right-wing park that these people should have been going to? We don't have one. There isn't one because parks aren't, you don't allow park usage based on political affiliation or religious affiliation because that's illegal. So this whole notion that, the Bible bashers shouldn't have been allowed to go in there is nonsense. It's a park, and you could see in the video, they're literally having a prayer service. Now, I was at Rattle in Seattle, and the violence outside of the worship service was terrible. Was terrible. Another 8 lunatic, far left extremists from Antifa, Trantifa, they got arrested. Because they committed acts of violence. They would tell you otherwise. Oh, it was peaceful speech. Nah, nonsense. Let's keep going.
gay community versus religion, LGBTQ versus Christianity. I'm a Christian myself. I'm a gay woman myself. All those things cross over. Take that piece out. Now you have people that are saying gay people are vile, or we're coming to the darkest place in Seattle. Those things are.
Here's the thing I would say about that. People are Christians, people are gay Christians, okay. But the level of, and that aside, okay, but we're not talking about that. We are talking about Antifa and Trantifa. Antifa that supports specifically trans rights. Now, when you get involved with that, and in the video I shot, there's literally a clip of a guy saying, poster saying, on one side, it was, your shitty music is a sin. I mean, that's funny. I don't care who you are. It was funny. All right, he put that up. On the other side, it said something like, I'll meet you where I'm going, meaning I'll see you where I'm headed, something like that. You can see in my video, Rattle in Seattle. It's probably 3/4 of the way into it. And he had inverted pentagrams on both sides of the sign. Now, that is a complete Satanist sign. And that's what it felt like to me on the outside, walking around where Antifa was getting arrested. That's where I was. Though the video, it's just horrific. That's the darkness that people are talking about. That is the darkness. So watch the video. It's all on there.
Those things are, troubling.
The mayor's office issued yet another statement suggesting there has been no official notice of an investigation outside a vague tweet, and he'll continue to stand up for Seattle residents and values under pressure from the Trump administration, and rolled out a list of local faith-based leaders supporting his stance. Yet Harrell's political opponents say the situation is part of a bigger issue.
I think in this case, it's pretty clear that the Harrell administration was asleep at the wheel.
Katie Wilson is running against Harrell for mayor and has raised the...
Were they asleep at the wheel issuing this permit? I don't know if anybody would have... I mean, if you would have told me, hey, you got some Bible bashers, and I use that term just so you can identify that churchgoers, Jesus believers, however you want to say it. Everybody gets it when I say Bible bashers, right? It's not a negative. It's just, this is what they're doing. And when you throw that group, worshipers, however you want to say it, when you throw worshipers into an LGBTQ park, you don't necessarily expect extreme violence. You just wouldn't. But this is Seattle. This is Antifa. And this is a city that has supported Antifa. And our mayor, Bruce Harrell, continues to support Antifa. So good luck with that, because the optics of the world are watching, and they are looking in at Seattle, and they are saying, we want to do the opposite of that. We want to do the opposite of that, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people believe in Jesus. They believe in God. They like to go to church. And this is a wildly offensive event to those individuals. That's what that is. And I agree, 100%. 100%. It was offensive. It's just, you can't hate on people because of their religious beliefs.
Most money of any challenger. She's claiming the Cal Anderson controversy is a test in leadership.
I think that the city certainly could have tried to steer them toward another location that was both acceptable for their group and much less contentious for Seattle.
But it didn't happen.
FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino got a lot of attention here in downtown Seattle at a religious rally that was held outside of City Hall, where supporters were calling on Seattle's Mayor Bruce Harrell to resign. There were a lot of cheers about that tweet. But again, I want to stress the official word from the FBI in D.C. tonight, the one-line response: the FBI has nothing to provide beyond his tweet. Marion Preston.
Okay, so here's another thing. The second event, which was Rattle in Seattle, was unpermitted at Seattle City Hall. And yet the police basically helped that religious group, Mayday USA, just completely get squared away. And they had all the police resources that they needed at their disposal. And the police basically allowed them to have a religious rally on the back patio, big back courtyard, whatever it is, of Seattle City Hall. They were calling for the resignation or an apology for Bruce Harrell. Now, he could easily just go out and apologize. Hey, I'm sorry for my comments. They were out of line. I know you guys are just a religious group expressing your religious ideas and ideology, but here in Seattle, we take that kind of personally. So I need to apologize to you and let's try and de-escalate. Instead, he does the opposite and says they're to blame. And that's why this is such a big deal. Let's see if we got anything else here. Dan Bongino. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Harrell issuing a statement that suggested the organizers were part of a right-wing group. Since when are churchgoers right-wing extremists? Since when when is that a thing? Intent on creating problems. What problems was that? I mean, they're waving their hands, they're doing their faith thing, they're singing some songs. I heard their music for 2.5 hours and I thought it was great. I thought it was fine. I thought it was uplifting. What wasn't uplifting is the far left, Democrats, Antifa, screaming at the cops, screaming at the churchgoers. F-bomb this, F-bomb that. I mean, that is some real nonsense. And that's what's got to go because those optics are so bad. But Democrats, you know what? I think Republicans are just going to go, shh, don't say anything. Let these nut jobs keep going because nobody's going to want to vote for these people with that type of affiliation to their party. So Democrats, you need to cut those ties with the whole Antifa thing because it is not working out well because the rest of the world has figured out, oh, those people are losers. They are categorically losers. That prompted another rally at the steps of Seattle Hall. At one point, Bongino's post was brought up and they cheered. FBI, official notice, statements from 11 different local faith-based leaders. Yeah, but they're all gay, so does it count? You know what I mean? FBI is well within their rights to investigate. Okay. Permitting issue. She acknowledged that it's something that we need to improve on in Seattle. How about any group can do their thing at a park and they shouldn't be assaulted by Antifa? That's what you should do better. And, police did. Police stepped in and they, arrested people. And those people got out because you got weak liberal judges here in Seattle. But she said, when you cross the line with different hate speech, what specifically was the hate speech? I want to know. I'm listening. Especially in a historically gay neighborhood, but that doesn't give you the right to incite violence, to do a beatdown, and to resist police. That's not acceptable. And that's what happened. And we all saw it because it's for there to see. So you got the Christians waving their hands, doing their faith thing, and then you got Antifa scruffing in the dust Cal Anderson Park with the police. This is not the gay community versus religion. Okay, and then that one person goes on to say, no. So that's why you should even understand even more that speech like that, especially freedom of religion, 14th Amendment, is somewhat important. It is. You got to be able to come in and say your thing. So if you want to talk about, they don't believe something, okay, but, the LGBTQ might believe something else. Everybody's got their right to their opinion. They've got their right to voice their opinion. But just because it's in a park that's been affiliated with LGBTQ+ doesn't mean the rules should bend. Shouldn't change the rules up for that. But that's literally what we're saying here. And that is what the mayor is saying. Oh, you need to check this out. All right. So there's kind of an intention to provoke, to create a confrontation, and they got what they wanted. Okay? By singing hymns and reading from the Bible and having some people stand up and not curse at police, that's creating a provocation. Okay. All right. Okay. And by provocation, you mean bringing something up that you might not want to hear because you don't agree with it, but that is the basis of freedom of speech. So what are you talking about? She also said she believed there was a way to honor the First Amendment rights of Mayday USA and the safety of Capitol Hill community at the same time. Okay, but what we're basically, I think that the city certainly could have tried to steer them towards another location. They should have known that up front, and then this would be a non-issue, right? This would be a total non-issue, but that's not what happened. We got to deal with it. This is yet another cluster F, you know what, for Seattle. Kind of like the Summer of Love. Remember that? Yeah, it's going to be the Summer of Love. And then 2 black kids get murdered at a Black Lives Matter event co-hosted with Antifa. How'd that work out? Oh, two black kids got murdered. Yeah, not good. Not good. Not good. Not good. Like the optics on this whole deal. Terrible. 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 All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Podcasts for days, weeks, months, years, and now even decades. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.